so it's not like a continuous whatever, you don't post the whole thing. It's more just like
No.
moment from it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice, man.
I do post the whole thing on like Spotify.
Yeah,
But then I make like Instagram reels and stuff like that with it.
yeah, cool. Good for you.
Sweet. So, you ready to start this off?
Yeah, man, I'm ready. Honestly, I don't even know necessarily what the whole vibe is for what you do in terms of questions, but I know it's obviously sports related and all that. So
Yeah, I got a lot of music and related questions and stuff like that with mental health and all that good stuff.
awesome, man.
There, so
Hey,
welcome to Beyond the Game Mind and Body podcast. I'm your host, Michael Couture. Right now, I'm in grad school studying to become a mental health therapist and a lifelong athlete. Um, so joining me is a friend who played sports in college and also started a music career out of himself. So welcome to the podcast, Gus.
yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you having me on.
So if you can give a little just background information about yourself.
Yeah, man. Hey, Rhode Islander, born and raised. Um, really into baseball as a kid. Played straight through, did the whole, Hendricken thing. Played in college, and I had a bunch of surgeries along the way. But had a pretty cool career. And then when baseball was over, I always played the piano, so I kind of figured I'd get into music production, and that's what I've been doing. There we go, a little phone ring action. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe so far. Skipping over some major details there, but
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll fill those
Yeah.
as we go
You went
along.
to you went to Bishop Hendricken?
I did, man.
Oh,
I
okay.
did. I did. Yeah, it was what did I say? I guess I got there in like 2020. I graduated 2014. Yeah.
That's when my brother graduated.
Who was your
Uh,
brother?
Brandon and Steven Couture. One graduated 2014, one graduated 2015.
Brandon was my grade, right?
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna look him up real quick because I feel like I definitely know him because um I he would have been in my homeroom. And that sounds like that's like a
Last name thing, yeah.
yeah, man. That sounds like the kind of thing where we definitely would have. Yeah, that's so funny, man. I definitely know that guy.
Brandon.
He was definitely in my homeroom
Okay.
because
I'll have to
I was CU, he was CO.
yeah. I'll
That's
have to ask him also.
yeah, it's funny. That's cool.
Yeah, I graduated 2020 there. So,
Okay. You're a Henchman guy as well. Very nice.
yep. Legacy in my family.
Oh, you've had everyone.
Yeah, my dad went there, my two brothers went there, and then I went there after.
Yeah, no, it was good for me, man. I think when I was there at the time, I didn't really fully appreciate Hendricken when I was there. I was like very angsty and ready to move on. But then looking back, it's like it's the best thing I did. Because it
Yeah.
just the kids that I met, man, like they all went on to become adults pretty quickly, which
Hmm.
was it was pretty obvious that, the kids that went through there ended up doing some pretty awesome stuff. So I'm
Oh yeah.
hoping to follow suit here.
Can you walk us through what it was like going from playing ba college baseball to pursuing music? What sparked that transition?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically, when I was at Hendricken, I had Tommy John surgery my junior year. So I had it at a super young age. I was like 16, about to be 17 when I had no other choice because I had torn my ulnar collateral ligament in my elbow.
Hmm.
And so, um, this will be the long version, but I had to have surgery in high school, and so I had no offers coming out of Hendricken. And so, um, when I had the elbow surgery, I needed one more year to use to try and be seen and get some offers and whatnot. So I went to Worcester Academy up in Central Mass for a year. Um, and so that year I kind of had a breakout year and ended up getting an offer from Pitt. So for me, it was like Pitt, Boston College, and Elon. Those are like the last three that I decided on. And ultimately Pitt kind of felt like home. I really liked the coach, and so I went there. And unfortunately, my freshman year, I tore my labrum, so I ended up needing to have surgery on that too. So basically, having had two surgeries before my 21st birthday or whatever, I kind of had an idea that yes, I loved baseball and I knew that I really wanted to try to play in the league and all that. But I had a pretty good indication that it's like it's probably not going to be for the long haul here, having two
Yeah.
major surgeries like that. And labrum surgery for pitchers, man, is a bit of a death sentence. Not that you never play again, but that you don't ever really return to what you were, especially in terms of velocity and just durability. And
Mm.
that kind of proved to be not so true in the short term. I had a really solid couple years after labrum. But as I kept going on, it was pretty clear, like, hey, like baseball's probably not going to be the long haul for you. I only
Yeah.
had so many bullets left, and I knew that at a pretty young age. So I always kind of had music in the back burner, man. When I wasn't playing baseball, I'd spend a lot of time on my keyboard and just try and stay sharp and write things and get familiar with you kind of have to nerd out a little bit in this music production thing. You have to be familiar with softwares and know how different things work. It's not just playing an instrument. There's a lot that you need to know about the process of production and all these things. And yeah, just kind of surrounding myself on the side with people that were really into to music production
Mm.
and um, you have people that are way better at the piano than I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
just trying to put myself in the same shoes that I was in, kind of in sports. Sports taught me
Mm.
like, surround yourself with people that are kind of doing what you want to do and see how they're getting those results.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think for me, that's kind of how the transition at least started. Just always keeping it alive. And my mom was a professional musician for a long time. She
Oh,
played
okay.
in like a classical setting. She was like a
Oh, that's really
violist,
cool.
so she played um, in a Boston Pops, Boston Symphony, and
Wow.
so I never had the option to quit. In other words,
Yeah.
she kept on me.
Yeah, that's really good though. How was that? How was your mental health when you were going through all those surgeries constantly, constantly?
Yeah, I can definitely recall my last year at USC. I had pitched a game, and it was like kind of like it's like I said, I had a pretty good indication of like my body's not right, but this was probably after I had already had four surgeries, and I knew I was probably gonna need a fifth. And I can remember being in a pretty low spot at that point. It was COVID too.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it was tough, man. There were definitely points in my last year where, yeah, you're waking up and it's like you're kind of thinking like, what the heck is the point? You're
Yeah.
gonna go get treatment that I know isn't gonna work because I need surgery, and then I'm gonna try and throw again. It's gonna be painful. I'm gonna try and
Mm.
compete in a way where I know that I'm not really competing against the other player. I'm competing against
Yeah.
myself and you lose, you're not going to win.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely got pretty low. There's no doubt. And honestly, the tough thing is in that moment, there's nothing anyone can say or do for you, so you kind of just have to eat it. And unfortunately, as I'm learning in many things are in life, that you have no choice but to just keep going. You have to
Yep.
keep pushing. And for me, it was like, all right, well, if one door is closed, like, what's the next dream? I certainly
Hmm.
don't want to do anything normal. I certainly
Yeah.
don't want to do anything that's like, sitting at a desk or having someone tell me what to do all day. I don't think of that as what life's all about at all. But I understand, I respect people that have those sorts of jobs. I'm certainly not knocking it. I just knew for me,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, I wanted to just create a new path and um, yeah, but at that time, yeah, super hard, super hard. There's definitely carving out space to feel bad for yourself is important at first, as long as you know that eventually it's
Hmm.
gonna be like, all right, man, like what's next?
Yeah. I love that you said the normal part, that you didn't want to have like that normal thing. Because right now for me, like I'm doing this podcast because I'm trying to go somewhere with that, writing my book, trying to go somewhere with that. I'm doing trading right now because I'm trying to do something with that so I don't have to do that normal that people usually do. So I really like that
Yeah.
answer.
No, and a lot of people are gonna say F you along the way. That's just
Yep,
kind of how it goes, but you could take names. And I
exactly.
think for me too, it's like the only thing that I see in terms of everyone that's doing something that I want to do or people that are in positions that I would love to be in. there's no one way that people get this stuff done or end up in the positions that they're in. It's really, but the one common thread for sure is just effort. And it's not even like they're doing monumental things every day and like, working 15 hours a day. It's like it's more so people that just put drops in a bucket day after day after day after
Yep.
day. And it's funny, I obviously met you at the gym, and that's I've kind of felt that about people that are like in amazing shape that you see there. It's like
Hmm.
they're not doing better form or going crazy harder than everyone else. It's more so that they're there every damn day, and you know that they're
Yep.
eating right, and you know that they just don't take time off. They just do it,
Yep.
do it, do it, do it. They don't do it and then take a week off and then, then fall into a hole where they're not there for a little bit and come like it's the consistency,
Yeah.
and I think that's good for you, man. You're obviously exploring every avenue and I'm trying to do the same thing.
Yeah. My one of my trainers at Hell Tracks, his name is Alex. He really every day him and me send 10 goals and 5 things we're grateful for every single morning. And we both wake up every single morning at like 6 a.m. trying to go to do our workout right away and start doing the things that we need to do to become successful in life. So it's really
Yeah.
nice like having that in our life. So
I'm envious of you, man. I'm certainly not up that early. I'm trying
yeah.
I'm trying to get up earlier. I've never been a morning person, but I think I'm kind of the other way around. Like it'll be like 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and I'll be working like on like
Mhm.
music stuff. But
Yeah.
it's true. My dad's such an early riser. I got to get more into that. Like 9 a.m. is really for me.
Nah, no. Do you always know that music would be your path after sports, or was it something you discovered along the way?
Definitely knew. I definitely knew. Because like I said, man, it was like for me, okay, I have a bachelor's, whatever that means. I
Hmm.
have a degree that I have
Yep.
an economics degree that I know I could try and put out there and build some sort of resume and maybe work in like finance or something. But I never thought of that as like what I'd want to get out of bed and work
Hmm.
for. I think I always thought it was like, all right, well, you know what? Being a Major League Baseball player would be pretty freaking cool. Let's
Yep.
try the heck out of that. All right, if that doesn't work, then being a music producer, a musician, that would be pretty cool. Let's try and do that, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And it's worked out enough to the point where, yeah, it didn't just start like, hey, you're writing hits, and you're in the top 100. It's like,
Yep.
no, you're in sessions, you're working with smaller artists trying to build your rap, you're playing piano at weddings, you're DJing for corporate events. It doesn't go right to the tippity top right away. And I'm learning every kind of cooler, bigger gig that I've gotten has been a result of, those ones in the beginning that were unpaid or
Yep.
less than glorious. So, um, yeah, I think for me, it's like, it's no doubt. I think sports teaches you so early on. It's like you can put in a ton of work and so much effort for a game or an outing. And, the world just kind of says like, F you, and it sucks and your performance is terrible. And unfortunately, all you have is the next one. But it's the same goes, your performance can be unbelievable.
Yep.
But then you have to earn that same respect the next day, so I think that learning those lessons in sports where you just work regardless of the outcome absolutely applies to what I'm trying to do now.
How did your mind set shift once you started seeing yourself as a musician instead of just an athlete?
It's funny, man. Yeah, that's a great question because I was playing catch like a few weeks ago, and it had been a long time since I'd thrown a baseball. But even just looking at the ball and the glove, and I'm thinking like this was like my identity for so long. Um, but man, it I think it just kind of happened. It just kind of happened pretty naturally because, like I said, you give yourself a few, whatever that was, maybe a few weeks to feel bad for yourself.
Hmm.
But then you think about, your health, and like you mentioned before, gratitude is such an important thing. And even talking about like, how many kids sign up to play baseball when they're like 4 or 5 years old, and where I finished, I felt like given all the circumstances, like there was a lot to be proud of. And
Hmm.
in the moment, it certainly doesn't feel like it because you're pitying yourself a bit. But at the end of the day, it was such a blessing. So all smiles looking back in that regard. And then you just, yeah, you wake up and it's like, all right, well, the new goal is this. And I think the human being is more important than maybe the mission. Yes, it turned from sports to music, but the work and the obsession doesn't change.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Were there any challenges in shifting your identity from athlete to artist, and how did you navigate that?
Hmm. Yeah, sure. I think even, when you're a kid, you're even like when you're home, holiday parties or amongst friends and family, there's definitely the first question people ask is like, yeah, how's baseball going or whatever,
Yeah.
basketball or whatever you might play. But um that association is hard to separate yourself at first, no doubt. But I think, like I said, gratitude was such an important position for me. I think given how blessed I am, just generally, to feel bad for myself after having had such a great athletic career, whether it was plagued by injuries or not, it would be a waste of time, and a
Yeah.
disservice to myself. And so even though there was a challenge in separating myself from just being a baseball player at first, I couldn't let it last too long, you know. And the best part about that is I couldn't let it last too long because of lessons I learned in baseball. It's like we talked a lot about a next pitch mentality. Regardless of what happened on the last pitch, good or bad, it's like all you have is the next pitch. And the
Yeah.
next pitch is all you have, had, and ever will have. It's all about, it's like you could literally exchange those words next pitch for current moment,
Hmm.
present moment that people talk about. It's more about, all right, what's next? You
Yeah.
know, um, I feel like that's a life thing too. I look at all these people doing, in whatever these incredibly successful athletes and business people and all this stuff. It's like they wake up every day. It's like, how do you even stay motivated? And it's like, well, because all they have is like what's in front of them and what's
Yep.
next, So I think that transition from athlete to musician actually was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Was there ever a specific time you questioned who you were without sports, or
Sure. Yeah. That same
same
time,
thing?
around, senior year, and maybe right after, I actually tried. Yeah, of course. So when I finished at USC, I was thinking about just retiring, but I could still like, and this is the story of my career. I could
Hmm.
always just throw pretty hard. Like I had a good
Yeah.
fastball, and that can get your foot in the door a lot of places,
Hmm.
whether you're a good pitcher or not. Because by the end, I was just not a good pitcher anymore. But
Hmm.
uh, I tried to do one more year at University of Rhode Island because I had a year eligibility. So I just started like a master's degree there and tried to play for the team. And it was horrible. It was a major, major failure. And part of me almost wishes that I didn't do it. But then I think about all the people that I met and the connections I have now to those people there and my home state and all that. And I wouldn't change it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't change it, but um, I held on. I held on as long as I could, and I kind of, like I said, no one really cares. But to me, I thought that I had made a fool of myself in the way that I performed and just tried till I was literally like, tried till truly till the wheels fell off. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't throw a ball, basically.
Hmm.
And I was kind of ashamed of that in the moment, because it was like, damn, man, you could have kind of gone out with a more graceful bow here. But that mindset is catering to other people, and reputation and how other people perceive you. And it's one of the hardest things, but not caring what other people think and doing things for you within the realm of, obviously being respectful and
Yeah.
respecting other people, obviously, but not caring about what they're maybe going to think about you is such a
Biggest
weapon,
thing.
man. It's
Is
such a
ever
weapon, and it is so tough because ultimately there are people that you maybe think or even do respect that you're going to kind of have to be like, I don't care what they're thinking right now,
Yeah.
and that's a tough thing. And because you're doing stuff for yourself at the end of the day, in the best way, not in a selfish way, but for your own betterment, and that comes at a cost sometimes where you're not catering to someone else in that moment, and So when I think about me having clung on for so long and tried to just, do it even though it didn't work out, I needed that. I needed
Yeah.
that for me. That was closure in a way.
I like how you said that because even for me, when I left college, I was in a frat at URI, and it was more just like people making fun of everyone, saying comments about everyone, and honestly, it destroyed my mental health. But when I started this podcast, I removed like when I left college, I removed them all and like started a new like chapter. And when I started this podcast, they all started following me back because they were like, "Wow, like you're getting all these like amazing people on here." And it's crazy how to like they shifted from like that to that. But just
Oh yeah.
like you said, just blocking out that noise, like you're coming to your best self. Like that's the most important thing. So
Woodworks,
really,
man. They'll come out of the woodworks. That's the best thing.
yep.
And hopefully, even for me, every day I'm working on trying to, get get in with bigger producers and people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, 99% of them are like, no thanks, or don't
Yep.
respond. That's just kind of how it is,
Yep.
and then ultimately maybe you do something cool, or you end up with someone else, and then all of a sudden those people are interested again. And
Yep.
um, that's just kind of how it goes.
It's life.
Yeah.
Many athletes struggle. But after many athletes struggle after their playing careers end. How did stepping away from baseball impact your mental health?
It's so funny. Like for me, the moments toward the end where I was hanging on, that was when I was at my lowest.
Mhm.
Um, that was when I was at my very lowest for sure. It was hard to fathom this thing that it's like, well, my mentality this whole time was like, I know I'll find a way
Yeah,
because I have to this point, and I did after this surgery, and I did after that surgery. I know I'll find a way. And then eventually it's like, man, you're not going to find a way. Like you have
yeah,
truly tried absolutely everything. So letting go actually was the best headspace I had been in a long time. Letting go was actually the most refreshing thing. I I think even to this day there are points where you feel um a little bit of sadness when you look back and think that like, oh, like, that was my identity for so long. But like I said, maybe for a second or two, and then it's like, what's for dinner?
yeah.
It's like, I'm not gonna hold on to it too for too long. But yeah, I would say when I ultimately decided to retire, I had never been happier. I was in so much pain, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, we're looking at the grand scheme here. I was so blessed, and
Hmm.
you have to understand that. Um, when we talk about injuries, like sports injuries is one thing. People have injuries where it's like, you're in a wheelchair, or like you can't see anymore. Like there are
Yeah.
horrible, horrible things. It's like it's a perspective thing. It's a perspective thing. And like I said, feel bad for yourself for 1 minute, and then what's next?
How was your family support through all of that?
It's interesting. My dad and I had the big sports bond. So it was tough on
Okay.
him, I think for
Hmm.
sure. It
Yeah.
was tough on him, but that kind of ties into what I said before. I could feel so bad for all the belief and time and money and effort that he gave for me to have a
Hmm.
career in that. Um, But yeah, it could be your own dad. It could be your own dad, and you have to apply that mindset of like, I can't be worried about what he's thinking right now. This is about me, and I know the effort that I gave, and I know
Yeah.
everything that I tried to do, and whether what he feels, it really can't it really can't be on my mind for too
Yeah.
long, because it's not gonna bode well. And I
I
know how
really like that.
at the end of the day, I know how he operates, and it was the kind of thing where we both it was a mutual understanding. Like I tried
Yeah.
everything, man. I tried absolutely everything to do my very best. And his support was kind of understood. It wasn't
Hmm.
the kind of thing where we ever really totally unpacked like what happened. It was just so clear, man. It's like you had five
Yeah.
surgeries, you know what I mean? You had five
Yeah.
surgeries on your body, and you're like 23. It's like this is not normal. And my mom, man, I could have played at a junior college, and what I actually did. But I could have been like my peak performance was at like in high school or JV, and she would have
Hmm.
supported. She
Oh,
she 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 was never worried about anything other than am I enjoying it.
yeah.
And I joke, man, she doesn't even know what like a strike is, or like a foul ball. Yeah, she doesn't know any of that. And I have three sisters and a brother, and they are like the least. into sports for
Mm-hmm.
people ever. So it didn't, it wasn't the kind of thing where we talked about it really either. But
Yeah.
like I said, if I were ever really, really down for any reason, they
Mm-hmm.
would be there for me.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, I didn't let it last for too long.
Yeah.
I couldn't feel bad for myself too long.
I love that. What role has music played in your own healing and or self-expression?
That's a good question. I can remember like coming back from practice or games where the results were shitty and the you know the vibe was just like you suck. And yeah, hopping on the keys and just playing. Yeah, there were forms of it was absolutely a form of therapy for sure. I mean, there's probably one moment a month, even now, and this has nothing to do with baseball or even maybe even I don't know, like anything at all, but I'll just be playing
Yeah.
and I'll literally feel tears running down my face. Not that
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing anything unbelievable,
Yeah.
but it's like it's a form of like expression in the way that like like how can you be so moved by something that you can't really like see or feel, you know what I mean? You're just
Mm-hmm.
hearing these things and you just feel so moved. It's like, man, your body is like you're passing some sort of like emotion and um, yeah, music is therapy, no doubt. Yeah, it's like a universal language.
Does creating help you make a sense of things you couldn't process before?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Does creating help you make a sense of things you couldn't process before?
Um, I don't know. That's a pretty hardcore question, man. I think creating is therapeutic. There's no doubt. Um, it's such a bizarre thing. You go from sports, which is so objective. It's like, can
Mm-hmm.
you strike this guy out? Can you throw a strike here?
Yeah.
Can you bunt this guy over? Can you throw this guy out? It's like to like, hey, there's a blank canvas. Can you like write something that sounds like this?
Mm-hmm.
It's it's different. It's such a subjective thing. So I would say that it definitely for me is just more of like a mind clearing and then cluttering
Yeah.
and then clearing kind of thing. It's a process that could never be the same thing twice. Yeah.
Do you remember a song or lyric that was especially personal to write?
To write,
Yeah.
yeah, but actually I wrote a song with my younger sister. It's called Time Has a Way. And like the main gist was that time has a way of taking back the things it gave. And basically what that means is like you're given such incredible you're given such incredible moments along the way and you work months and months for like a one baseball season is a good example and then you have this crazy moment in the playoffs that's so beautiful and maybe you even win the championship and you hold on to it in that moment and then time has a way of just taking it back. It
Yeah.
gave this incredible moment and it takes it back because it's all about like, hey man, like what's next? Yeah,
I
good or bad.
really,
And
really love
that
that.
applies to good or bad. And that's a beautiful thing, because like I said, it's like, why would a billionaire have any motivation getting up every day? It's
Mm-hmm.
like 'cause they know they have the next thing, whatever it may be.
Yep. Do you post these songs anywhere?
So we're pretty early stages, man. So I only retired from baseball a couple of years ago, which is
Okay.
or maybe three or four. But since then, yeah, there was a moment where I was like waiting tables,
Mm-hmm.
bartending, kind of getting into the headspace of like that transition from
Yeah.
sports to music. Um, so it's been a slow burn, but I'm in the midst of writing an album right now.
Oh, okay,
So
sweet.
to this
That's
point,
exciting.
it's been mainly producing for other artists,
Mm-hmm.
working, in production and playing for weddings and
Yeah.
DJing and a lot of things within music. But this is the first time where I'm really stepping away and writing music for
Okay.
in my name. And it'll feature my sisters and
Yeah.
friends and other producers. So that's kind of in the
Well,
works right
let,
now, man. So yeah,
let, let me
when one
know.
day one day when it's when it's
Timing's
out,
right. Yeah.
yes, when it's out into the world and doing well, we can think back to this moment right here where it's like early stages, man.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it when it comes out.
Heck yeah.
How do you handle moments of doubt or setbacks now compared to how you did as an athlete?
Probably a lot better. Probably a lot better because I think as an athlete, you feel like you have more control over how things are supposed to go because it's all
Hmm.
within a game. It's all within a game that only has so many outcomes. So you just kind of think that you're going to control more. And so when you can't control it, you kind of freak out because everyone's so superstitious and regiment oriented. And but I think in this life game, it's you realize how little control you have. You realize how much is just up to the universe, and you really can only control the work you're putting in. It's really has so
Hmm.
little, the outcome is so freaking uncontrollable, and you have no idea how things are going to work out. If I think about how I thought things were going to work out that I wanted, that I achieved, versus how they actually did work out, it's never ever what you thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
So I think I handle it better now. If there's something that I really wanted or one step that I wanted to take to get to this next step or this next step, and it didn't work because this person did that or whatever, you want to freak out, but you realize it's like, all right, well, on to the next. It's not how you think it's going to be all the time.
Yeah. Going back to about your music, how does writing or performing music help you process emotions that you might not be able to express through sports?
I suppose that sort of ties back to
You were
what I was
saying.
saying about how there's like probably a moment per month where I just feel totally moved.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, sports is so like physical, and yeah, there's a feeling of like defeating another player that I think some people would really really miss. I maybe even like it's funny, like AJ Brown was saying this the other day, like that, like he doesn't even care about like winning a Super Bowl. He thought is what would make him happy. This is a receiver for the Eagles. I'm not sure if you're familiar,
Yeah.
but he
Trying to get him too.
yeah,
I
man.
love I love his mental health story, so
He's saying like he thought that like a Super Bowl would be like his biggest, like what would make him happy. And he's like, no, like what makes me happy is like seeing like the defeat in like a cornerback's eyes or whatever.
okay.
I cannot relate to that. I don't think that I
Hmm.
miss that. There is physicality in sports that's fun, just competing.
Hmm.
And like where we met, that's kind of where I get that out now. Going to the gym is so big for me. Um, I definitely love to apply that physical work ethic there.
Hmm.
Now that's fun.
Do you see your music as a way to inspire others who might be going through their own transitions?
I wouldn't say sports exclusive at all, but other transitions like in terms of just like, you know, life battles, yeah, definitely. I don't think any artist would want anything less for people. Um but like I said, like in terms of like a plan or planning it for that reason, I wouldn't say so. I think that just kind of happens organically. You write stuff that you find to be beautiful, and how it
Hmm.
affects other people, that's not up to me.
Have you ever had any people reach out to you sharing how your songs help? Like, I see your no, you haven't really posted songs, but like I see your videos on Instagram, how you're doing
Mm.
music and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, well, most of the people that reach out to me saying I inspire them in this or that way is usually people that used to play the piano,
Hmm.
and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna pick it up again." And there are
Oh,
some people that will have sent me like progress videos along the way of like,
okay.
because I was not like I wasn't like a concert level pianist ever. I wasn't someone that like, went to like a music conservatory and, had
Hmm.
all this crazy formal training. And I think that's relatable for people. It's like, all right, well, this guy freaking was just, throwing baseballs the other day, and now he's hopping on a grand piano just trying
Yeah,
to make some sounds. If he can do it, then I can do it. And it's so true.
yeah.
So yeah, there have been a lot of moments like that where just me even playing or being present on a piano for people to see inspired them to pick it back up and keep trying it. And like I
Hmm.
said, I say the same thing to them that I did to you. It's like it's therapy for me, if nothing else for them. You don't have to go on to be able to play every song you thought you could ever play, but if it serves as some sort of therapy for you and clears your mind, then that's a win.
Are there themes that you find yourself coming back to in your lyrics?
Themes,
Yeah.
yeah, certainly kind of the one from Time Has a Way is a good indication of a lot of the songs, just the present, like this time, this roller coaster that we're on. Um, Kind of turning back the old stuff and not forgetting it, but honoring it and but moving on from it and excited for what's in the future without forgetting the past and excited for what's now. And yeah, it's all there's just this concept of how trippy life is and how it works.
When you're creating music, do you ever draw on your experiences from baseball or lessons learned from being an athlete?
I'm sorry, one more time.
When you're creating music, do you ever draw on your experiences from baseball or lessons learned from being an athlete?
All the time. Yeah, the same stuff I've been harping on really.
Yep.
Um, Result, good, bad, indifferent. Like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? I think the only difference in music is that when I'm writing, I can go back,
Hmm.
I can go back, and that's such a luxury because in sports you can't go back, you
Yeah.
can't go back and change a result. But in music, you certainly can, and it's much more of like I was saying, like a blank canvas. You can make it whatever you want to be.
Hmm.
It's so whatever you want. But absolutely, in sports, there are moments where you put in so much work to just be dominated or have a crappy game, and you have one option, which is to keep going.
Hmm.
And if I apply that to music every day. There's stuff that I thought might sound a certain way, and I bug this producer to throw this on it and this artist to put this on it, and I'm gonna go do this and add my stuff, and it all comes together. It's like this sucks.
Hmm.
It's like, what are you gonna do? It's about what's next. How can we fix it or how can we move on?
I like how you said the blank space, how like in sports you that one game defines it like a lot, but with your writing, you can literally just go back to it and fix it and stuff like that. So I like that.
Mhm.
What advice would you give athletes who might be struggling to figure out who they are after sports?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me, I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't do it right away. I went from playing to waiting tables and um, spending way too much time in the restaurant industry, honestly. Uh, so it wasn't easy. I definitely would encourage people to take some time. I have so many friends that when they stopped playing, freaked out and committed to like a corporate job. And I won't say all of them, but most of them didn't stick with it. Most of
Hmm.
them ended up being like, this sucks. And
Yeah.
I wish I had, taken a little bit more time to figure out what it is that I'll do next. I would just say anyone going through that, absolutely. Don't, don't rush into something just because you feel like you need to have some identity where you can, go out and say, oh,
Yeah.
I have this, pretty little job now. And
Hmm.
I remember for years I was kind of embarrassed to say that I was like a waiter, but it's like I would have much rather did that and be where I am now and continue to work to where I want to go rather than settle and be somewhere where I just felt a little bit better about myself in the moment when in reality I didn't even want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
What
to answer your
restaurant?
question, I would say take some time.
What restaurant did you work at?
Dude, I worked at all of them. I worked at Venda for years. I worked at my family spots, like, Back 40 and
Okay.
Living Maine and Black Oak and Lake Taco and Evie's and whatnot. I worked at Matunic Oyster Bar. Yeah, man, I worked a bunch of places.
Tunic. Love back 40.
Yeah, it's solid, man. Back 40 is a good spot.
All right, I got three more questions for you.
Let's do it.
Looking back, what was the hardest part of your transition and what are you most proud of now?
Hardest part of my transition. Hmm. The camaraderie of a locker room and teammates. There's never anything quite like that, at least in my experience. Not to that extent. It's hard to not feel that on a daily basis. That was probably the trickiest thing, being around people that were also like-minded and into the same thing you were. but you can find that in new areas. You can be a part of a team in a much different sense, and apply those same values and work, goals that you did before. But absolutely, at first you miss the camaraderie of it all. But I think anyone struggling with that should just realize that it comes in a different form after sports, and it's in a beautiful way.
Do you feel like that struggle gave your music more meaning?
Definitely. I think every single thing you go through in life is going to contribute to what you're working on next. Definitely. I think whatever fire still lives in me from having had such a great sports career and um, opportunities, and the heartbreak that came with it and the success that came with it, all of that culminates into the way that I address everything moving forward. Yeah, I think your story just keeps going. You can feel everything from your whole life into the effort that you put forth for everything going forward.
What practices do you use daily or weekly to maintain your mental health, especially balancing the pressures of the music industry?
Crushing weights. Yeah, man. Going to the gym 5 times a week at least. That is definitely a happy place for me. Because like I said, I'm in such a artsy world now.
Yeah.
This is such a, subjective creating uh, you know, music world that I'm in now, but I do miss that physical output that comes with having been an athlete. So for me, I would truly say if it's not on the piano or working in music stuff, it's at the gym. That's where I really am able to clear my head.
What would you tell young athletes who are struggling with mental health? What advice would you give them?
Well, I think it's so tough. It's such a case by case thing. I think depending on what they're going through, but I mean, I guess I'll ask for a little more context in terms of athletes generally. Do you mean like someone that might be struggling from personal stuff, but they happen to be an athlete, or stuff derived from sports, or people that are not playing anymore, or people, or I guess I would ask for some context there.
Probably deprived in sports, kind of like
Yeah.
going through the personal struggles that the sport gave them.
Yep. Well, I certainly had a bunch of times where it went from one surgery to the next, to a little bit
Yeah.
of success, to immediately another surgery, to um, just seeing your dreams kind of feel like they're less and less attainable. I would say for someone like that, gratitude is such a huge thing.
Mm.
And like I said before, like taking a little time to feel bad for yourself, I think it's important to realize why you're feeling the way that you are. And if you think you have a chance, then think about what the thing is you can do that very moment, that very day. What can I do today to start to dig myself out of this hole?
Mm.
And you try it and you try it and you try it and you try it. And for me, I did that so many times that got me back up to the point where when the last time I did it, realizing like, no, this is really it, I had absolutely no regrets. And that's a beautiful thing. Being able to look back and say, I know that I did what I could. I feel great about that. I think regret has to be the worst feeling when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, think about that very moment. If the thing you need to do today is feel bad for yourself, go ahead. But know that tomorrow, if the first thing you need to do is, all right, I'm going to go, for example, in my instance, all right, I'm going to go get treatment. I'm going to get evaluated. I'm going to get a second evaluation. I'm going to do this. I'm going to stretch. I'm going to, ice. I'm going to take Advil. I'm going to do that. Whatever it was, no matter how small, it was
Mm.
just about what is next? How am I going to do it? And how can this help me get to where I want to be out of this little rut?
If you could go back and tell your college athlete self one thing about life after sports, what would it be?
It's beautiful. Yeah, I would say life is beautiful, no, regardless. You have your health and your family and your work ethic stays the same. You have all these lessons that you learned. I would say life is still so beautiful, and it just keeps going. You have no choice. It's the same thing. Next pitch. It's the same mentality. And as long as you are in that moment, if I could tell that person, keep putting in a ton of work because you're not going to regret it. Every ounce of effort I put in, I never made it to the big leagues, but I don't regret 1 minute of it.
How do you think he would have reacted to hearing that, your younger self?
I would have been like, shit, we didn't make it. No, I think it would have been, I think it would have just instilled even a little more confidence in me to be like, yeah, this is time well spent. Just keep working, work, work, work. That's all you can do. It's what the best of the best of the best do,
Yep,
regardless of what they've done or what they're gonna do. It's like they're doing what they're doing today and they're working.
perfect. Well, that is the end of our podcast episode.
Heck
Of
yeah. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on. This was
course.
like this is thank you for me.
Thank you for having me, doing it with me. So.
Yeah.